Hello everybody, welcome back to Chasing Bass with Carter, and today we're going to be going over our Barrett trip. It took me a while to make this video. When I was actually recording Barrett, we only caught 2 fish on it, and that was early in the morning. And I'm just going to make that into a short, but I wanted to explain the baits we were catching it on and kind of what time, because Barrett this year was very different than past year. Last year, me and my dad both caught 40 plus fish, but this year we only caught about 20 altogether. So I'm just gonna kind of go over what baits are working. If you guys are looking to go to Barrett, don't really know what to throw or when to throw it, it's very different this year, and all the other people that I've talked to and you've seen on YouTube about Barrett, it's definitely been different. So what we first started off, we caught him on a few baits, but there's primarily only one bait. But first, we started off, I caught my first fish on this Super Salt Plus Ultra Vibe Speed Worm in the Red Bug by Zoom. Now this bait, I was really excited to throw. I thought this was gonna, because at Barrett, there's a lot of big fish, and it's a pretty big worm, and I was excited to catch a lot of big fish on this, or at least was hoping to catch a lot of big fish on this, but I didn't really catch it. I had a couple bites on it, and I only caught one in the morning with it. And after that, it just died down, and I switched baits. It just wasn't really working too much, but it did get a couple bites and a few fish. So this color I really liked. It had that, here, I'll bring it back out. I like the tail. It's a little curly, but more stays together. Has a nice flash when it's coming down. I was text rigging this, so it's gonna follow the weight, and that curly tail is gonna add a little bit more flash for the fish to bite it. And it worked a few times. Now, after that, my dad was catching them on the Oxford Blood. It's just a small 4.5 inch straight tail rubber worm. And he was catching fish on it in the morning primarily. And our first fish, my dad caught his first fish at 6:02 a.m. and I caught mine at 6:11. And after that, it died down to about 8 o'clock, where I started to use this red and black curly tail. Now this has a lot more of a tail. I was using this last year at Barrett, and it was catching a lot of fish, and I caught multiple fish on this. The tail part of it is almost bigger than the actual worm itself. And I was, again, just Texas rigging this, caught a lot of fish on it, mostly dinks. It wasn't the best fishing at Barrett this year, like I said, but this was more when the sun was up. There wasn't really a lot of shade left. We were just hitting branches and trees. Trees were working really well. Most of the fish that we caught were around rocks or trees, any kind of structure the fish were hanging out at. And then later, we were kind of catching them in every half hour, every hour leading up to about lunchtime. And then the Margaret Mutilator was also working. We caught a couple fish on that, but when we went to around noon, the bite kind of died down. We went in for lunch and everything. But after that, we really found a bait that we just kept catching fish on pretty much in the afternoon till about 6 or 6:30. And we've never seen this bait before. It is called the Morning Dawn Red Chartreuse. And this color is very nice. It has a chartreuse tail with the Morning Dawn red as the main body. And this was working really well for us. I caught many fish on this. It was a brighter color. This is a 4.5 inch worm, and just Texas rigging this. And it felt like this was the bait I couldn't put down, and I was trying to find this exact bait that you just can't put down, and this was it. Just kept getting bit on it consistently throughout the afternoon. Even when the sun was down and it was cooler, we were still catching fish on this. And if you look back at that short that I posted about all the fish that we caught at Barrett. You see later in the afternoon, we're on this kind of grass flat that we were hitting, and they just kept biting this. And even when we were in those submerged trees, I was throwing them kind of, here's the bunches here, I was kind of throwing it off to the left, kind of working it in towards that tree, and they were hitting this pretty much every time. So this bait made it feel like Barrett again. It wasn't feeling like it with the other baits. It felt like any other lake. But when you go to Barrett, you're looking for something special. And this bait really helped make it feel like Barrett again. But the biggest fish I caught was when I was going for bluegill. This one really surprised me. I was at the dock. We were putting everything away, and I wanted to catch a bluegill. So I was throwing this on a bluegill hook on some string cheese, and I cast it down below the dock, and I caught this really nice 4-pound bass. I was not expecting it. You know, after all day of throwing all of these baits that are catching fish, and you're trying to look for that big Barrett bass, I ended up catching it on a piece of string cheese at the dock. So if you want to try your luck on that, that's definitely, it worked for me, surprisingly. But yeah, that was pretty much our day of Barrett. It was fun. We were throwing chatterbaits. I had a black and blue with paired on with a black and white fluke as the trailer. That wasn't getting hit. My dad was throwing a chartreuse chatterbait. That wasn't working. He was throwing a glide bait. That wasn't working. He also threw a fat Ica. The fat Ica, he got bites on. The fish wasn't eating it all the way, but fat Ica was working for bites. If you want to try that out, it was a pretty good day for us. It wasn't bad, but this bait right here was the bait that caught us the most fish. So if you're going to Barrett or planning on going to Barrett anytime soon, I hope this helps. Please send this to a person who is looking to go to Barrett or maybe hasn't been there and wants to go for the first time. I think all these baits will still be working around this time. And please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good day, everybody.